I found this wooden box, and I think it's from the early 1900s. I was told it could be a box for rings, like engagement rings or wedding rings, but I'm not sold on that idea. I tried to Google search, but I came up with nothing. The compartments are slanted, and the box is so small, around 4 by 2 inches, so I can't imagine what it could be for. And there aren't any inscriptions or details on the wood. Does anyone ever come across one of these before? It's a Victorian triple stamp box. In the ancient days, sending a letter was something special and stamps were expensive, so special boxes and cases were created to hold them. The first were made of wood or leather, but as time went on, they were made of brass, ivory, silver, and even gold, and adorned with carving, inlaying, engraving, and enamel. In late Victorian and Edwardian times, no lady's or gentleman's desk was complete without a box to hold stamps. I found these on a hike in the Highlands in Scotland. It looks and feels handmade, with a wooden handle and mesh made of wire, and they are about the size of a large tennis racket. The handle appears to be made of a piece of wood found in the forest, as it's very roughly cut. The wire is formed into many hexagonal shapes in 2 layers on the front and back of the object. I thought they might be snowshoes, but that wouldn't explain the piece of wood connected to one of them. Any idea what this is made for? They are fire beaters, used to effectively extinguish small fires in open areas such as grass fires before they get out of control. Probably the handles are missing because they normally have longer handles. What is this antique wooden box I found in the attic of an old house? Approximately 37 by 25 by 14 centimeters, and the holes are less than 2 centimeters in diameter, and it has nothing written on it. I have searched antique test tube box, perfume box, scent sample box, but nothing looks like this. The box has a really strong wooden smell when opened, which has lingered around for years. I'm not sure if that is helpful, but we have a lot of wooden boxes and none smell like this when opened. Does anyone have an idea? It's a homeopathic medicine chest from the late 19th century. Doctors used medicine chests such as this as home remedy kits. Homeopathy relies on the idea that like cures like. For example, treatment for vomiting is something that causes vomiting, but in a smaller, much diluted dose. The chest may also contain a monaural stethoscope and an enema syringe. What is this 4-inch wide and 4-inch long silver ornate clamp I bought at an antique mall? No words on it, and I think it has something to do with tableware. It doesn't open any wider, but it is hinged like a clamshell. The way it is hinged and clamps down suggests tongs, but it isn't tongs. It seems like it must be used to pick up or move something, but it also seems impractical for that purpose. It doesn't stay shut, but opens as you see in the pictures. For it to be closed, you have to be holding it closed like tongs. What the heck is this thing? It's an antique French asparagus tong from the turn of the century. These tongs are wholly made of the finest quality French sterling silver and decorated in gorgeous Art Nouveau and Rococo style. These asparagus tongs are an example of the amazing craftsmanship of the ingenious manufacturers of the period. What is this ceramic circular hollow object with a ship design? I found it in an antique shop in coastal Maine, and about 8 inches in diameter. I'm just trying to figure out its purpose aside from being a hanging decoration. Any ideas? It's a Japanese nanbu hanging vase from the 1960s, used as a hanging ikebana flower arranging vessel. Ikebana is the Japanese art of flower arrangement. The tradition dates back to the Heian period, from 794 to 1185, when floral offerings were made at altars. Later, flower arrangements were instead used to adorn the alcove of a traditional Japanese home. This is a cane I came across from an antique dealer's estate. Unfortunately, he has passed away, and we were unable to find any information on this item. The cane itself is relatively flexible, about 35 inches long, and it appears to be some kind of bone layered together but floating independently around a central core. But I'm not 100% sure what it is actually made out of. Any information would be greatly appreciated. It's a Victorian Shark vertebrae cane from circa 1880. These American nautical canes were made by mariners to while away the time on long voyages and were often given as love tokens to the ladies of the ports that their vessels put into. This is constructed from vertebrae sections from the spine of either a shark or a ray that is then threaded over a central metal core. The pommel and ferrule are of horn, and the 3 decorative spacers towards the handle of the cane are of baleen. A true outsider art conversation piece that is beautifully executed. This came from my grandma's house. She was born in 1924 in Dixon, California. Her father was a farmer, so I would imagine this might be some type of a farming tool. Any guidance would be greatly appreciated. It's a device for holding shoes while being blackened. Patented by Henry L. Gardner of Springfield, Massachusetts on May 28, 1901. It is meant to be mounted on a wall so it sits horizontally, not to stand on the floor like in your pictures. It is a shoe holder meant to hold a shoe firmly in place for cleaning and polishing. Back then, all shoes were made of leather and had to be maintained so they would last for years. I got these inside of a box of 1820s antiquarian books I bought at an antique dealer's storage clearance. They were wrapped in tissue and inside a plastic Ziploc, labeled late 18th century Bookends. Is it possible to confirm this? There is no maker indication, and they are really gorgeous, but they are starting to oxidize, and there are some cracks on the inside. Thanks for your ideas. They are 19th century Spelter clock toppers from Ansonia Clock Company. I've encountered many of these over the years. The man on the left is believed to be Shakespeare, and the lady is a Greek goddess. What are these miniature antique mini glass ball things? The balls are hollow and delicate with little tips, approximately 3/4 of an inch, and each one is numbered on the top. I tried to Google antique volume measuring devices and just kept getting Pyrex measuring cups and the like. Any ideas? They're called hydrostatic bubbles or spirit bubbles among other things, and they're used as hydrometers for testing the alcohol content of liquors. It was invented in 1757 by Dr. Alexander Wilson, a Scottish surgeon, astronomer, mathematician, and meteorologist at the University of Glasgow. Each glass ball is numbered and would have been placed in alcohol to measure the specific gravity of a given liquid. If the ball floated, it would be cross-referenced against the number on the list on the inside of the lid. Someone I know was selling this at an antique market today, but no one could figure out what it was. The only real guess I even heard was that it was for gauging cigar sizes, but that doesn't seem right to me. I told him you guys could figure it out. Thanks in advance. Thanks for watching. Let's make life fun.